up, we have Giratina battle music from Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Once again, everybody, this is a Basterd's LFA, a layman-friendly analysis. I am a composer, professionally trained composer slash musician. My objective here is to explain things to you in a way so that you don't have to be a professionally trained musician to understand what is happening here musically. Keep in mind, this is recorded live on stream. So by the way, if you like the sound of that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, follow the channel, like the video, share the video, comment, turn on the notifications, all that good stuff. Keep in mind, this is live on stream. This is my first time hearing this track ever, so I will be pausing a lot because I'm going to be pointing things out as I hear them. You've been warned. Also keep in mind, this is done in a single take, so I might stumble upon my words here and there and all that good stuff. So if you want to listen to this whole song uninterrupted, I will be linking it in the description down below. So yes, Empress, yes. All right, let's do this. Let's check it out. Giratina battle music. Let's go. Okay, so we have quite a few things starting here. We had this very ominous start of this whole thing. A very, it's not a tutti. A very, very cool, just a very simple synth and the introduction of our motif. The motif, of course, being the smallest version of our musical idea, the seed from which everything else comes from, right? And in this case, it's a very, very interesting melody due to the shape of it, because it goes up, da, da, then it goes down, goes down, kind of in an inverted, kind of like crystalline, like kind of shaped like the crystals that we're seeing in, or like shaped a little bit like the Pokemon itself. It's a very interesting sort of melody. And of course, when it comes to composition, if you're a composer worth your salt, you will want to develop your motifs as much as possible. I'm sweating a lot. My AC is busted, so I am not apologizing. So you want to make sure that whatever you're writing fits the theme as much as possible, while at the same time developing your motif. And usually the simpler your motif, the easier it is to develop it. This one is a fairly complex one, so let's see where this goes. We have a bass, with a piano, the percussion, the drums going on as well. Okay, so we are having, there are so many elements going on right now. So we are immediately introducing, and Nintendo is very infamous for this kind of thing, the reduction, a hyper reduction of what is happening. So when it comes to motific development, there are a few things that you can do with your motif, right? But one of the things that you can do is elongation or reduction. Elongation is when you take the motif and you stretch it out proportionately so that each note lasts longer in proportion, and reduction is the opposite. You make it shorter and shorter and shorter. The most infamous example, or famous, I would say, would be the melody for Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers. When you first make it to a flag, you know, that little celebratory thing that you get from the World 1-1 when you finally reach the end of the level, that melody is the same melody as when you get one of those mushrooms and power up Mario. It's just sped up like 16 times. So we are having something like that over here. Those little glimpses that we got over here in this little transitionary stage were no accident. That was the motif. That was the motif, just sped up and repeated a bunch of times to sound like it's glittering or something like that. We also have the bass, which a bass line is going to be a very, very tricky one to do for something like this. But the bass is doing some imitation of the motif in a very, very interesting way. And then we have a few other synths going around, playing around, doing a little bit of counterpoint with this. And the drum beat, which is... It's interesting how the drum beat here has both elements of a synth and of a drum. Which, you know, that's just a drum pad that you can get to add those effects. and it helps blend together the synths and the drums to give you this weird sense of not entirely mushiness. It doesn't really mush things, but it does blur the lines a lot and give you that shades of gray feel instead of, you know, black and white. Let's see where this goes. And now we're playing the retrograde. We're playing a variation of the retrograde. It's partially elongated, partially accelerated. A retrograde just means you're playing the motif backwards. The motif was basically going up and down, but still going in a downward spiral, so to speak. This one now is doing basically this. So we added a little bit of a start to it, keeping the overall shape, and then doing the motif still going down. So partially, no, it just has a little bit of a tail start to it. Chaos, welcome to the day. How you doing, man? So yes, and yes, the bot is always rigged. So let's see where this goes, because we're having that while the bass is still doing a more elongated version of the motif. Oh, and we introduced brass and strings. Yeah, so we are having this variation of the motif. Yeah, this is a cool variation of the motif, because again, the original motif had like the straight line and then going downwards. Now we are curving the line a little bit, and then we're doing the steps downwards, up and down. Really, really cool. But most importantly, we brought in the brass. And here's a very, very good lesson. When it comes to brass instruments, trumpets, tubas, trombones, French horns, if you will count them as that, is that they are very risky instruments to use. They can be very, very loud, but if you play them quietly as you can get them to sound really warm. And that is something that is happening right now. We are having this very frantic violin line going up and down, playing this variation of the theme of the motif, while at the same time we are getting the brass doing a very elongated version, working as counterpoint to this with the soft playing of brass. This is a very interesting take to do for something like this, because usually for I think this is a legendary Pokemon as far as I understand. For something like this, you want to be as bombastic, you want to be epic and everything. So if you bring that warmth of brass to this, to your piece, it's going to be a very, very different feel. Like, the only thing I can think of that would have that same level of epic but royal kind of thing would be in the Ring Cycle, by Wagner, the motif of Valhalla. Valhalla has, by the way, a light motif. The difference between a motif versus a light motif is whether or not the motif is repeated throughout several different pieces. So the motif we heard is, as I said, the main melody that we're hearing. The violins are playing it right now, that kind of thing. So if we were to take that and completely just make that the Giratina sound, and you introduce it in another piece, then it becomes a leitmotif. So Wagner did these because he wrote the Ring Cycle operas, which it's 4 operas, spans over the course of about 12 hours, and he didn't want to just use the motif once and then throw it away, so he decided to bring back the motifs. So whenever somebody mentions Valhalla, you get the same theme. It's a theme, basically. It's a theme. He called it a leitmotif. Nowadays we call it a theme. But it's, instead of being a full track, it's just a couple of seconds. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is that Pulse for Fun, welcome to the day, how you doing? So the reason why I'm bringing this is because that theme of Valhalla had that warmth but epic level of it, because it's Valhalla. It's Viking heaven. That's awesome. And we are getting something similar here with Giratina, giving it that warmth to it, even though this is pretty much a day kind of thing. Let's see where this goes. Oh, some piano, some guitar. Man, very fast. The drums are insane. Oh, we slow down. So yeah, we had a lot of stuff that so much keeps happening, but basically we're getting very, very insane tempo changes. Yeah, it's speeding up, slowing down, and we are getting the motif being played in reductions, elongations. I really like this. It's very much going from stretching the theme, compressing the theme, and we're just exploring that in so many ways. And every once in a while, we do get some fresh material out here and there in the form of stingers. Stingers, it just means it's a short burst, comes in, pops out, never hear it again kind of thing. Usually it's secondary material, and it's working for this. Let's see where this goes. Okay, the bass. And again, with the hyper-reduced theme. Yeah, with the hyper-reduced... yes, Chaos, yes I did. The hyper-reduced theme, so now it's extremely sped up, and now we're... Not only is it sped up, I think we're sequencing it. So when it comes to a motific development, sequencing is when you take that same motif. So yeah, it's kind of giving us that idea of crystals. And when you have a sequenced motif, it just means, let's say we have a motif that goes like this, and then we play it again, but we start it in another point of the scale. That's it. And you just do that several times. And it seems like that is what we're doing over here with this hyper reduced version of the motif. Let's see. And there you go. And there we go. We bring in the Mozartian concept of just play the scales up really, really fast. That is unironically a technique that Mozart uses to fill in to fluff things up, to fluff your piece around. It sounds awesome. It sounds really cool. It adds to the extra melodies. And it filled up a solid like 4 seconds there. Yeah. No need for a motif there when you just play the scale up. You played the scale up starting from 2 different points. And now we're off to a guitar solo, I think. Kind of. Modulation. Oh, that's a really cool... This is a really cool transition with syncopation. Once again, syncopation, the concept of syncopation, for those of you who don't know. No, syncopation is when you play against the expected beat. So right now, it's a bit tricky to tell because of how fast everything is. But of course, this is in 4/4. So far, like these bits have been in 4/4. 4/4 is the most standard of all time signatures. Upper number, once again, number of notes. Lower number, the type of notes that you're going to get. In English, it's super easy. Whole note is 1. Half note is 2. Quarter note is 4. Eighth note is 8. So on and so forth. So when you do syncopation, you're just playing against the expected counting. So 4/4, 4 quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you just play in between those, and you got syncopation. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. And you just play in syncopation. Super common in jazz, super common in funk. To use this, it gives you this sense of added momentum and acceleration whenever you use, especially when you do it in this way, which is extended throughout several measures. So in this case, we're doing so it's one thing to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's another one to have the whole feeling of ba 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 ba, because it now gives us this momentum. And this is what is happening with the brass right now, just at a slower pace, which is a very, very interesting way of speeding up an already fast track. we just take the overall measures and we syncopate those over time in a very, very long way. Because the track is already going pretty freaking fast. And to speed it up, just speed up the measures themselves without speeding up the tempo. And we get this. Okay. Variations of the motif. Elongated motif. Very camellia, yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's very fast tempo. And now we're bringing the piano for filling it. Still the same motifs. Once again with the crystals, still doing that same thing. That thing that the violins were doing not too long ago, now we have a synth doing. We bring in the concept, once again, of orchestration, which now, with electronic elements, you can just extrapolate it. Of course, orchestration being the concept, the idea of picking the right instrument for the right reasons. Because each instrument should elicit a specific response from the listener. Usually you want not just the right sound, but you want the right psychological reaction. The most simplest, most common one that I can think of is the idea of a pipe organ and a piano. The piano, very much often, and we've heard the piano here several times, the piano is something that you can relate or associate psychologically with the individual. The individual is one person, and the one person has the piano, and it's just that one person. You can have a piano at your house. Most houses, most even apartments can fit a piano. Even a keyboard. You know, one of those digital keyboards nowadays is something that you can associate with the individual, very small in scale. An organ, especially a pipe organ, not quite, right? Like you need to design buildings around a pipe organ. They are massive instruments. They are feats of engineering and architecture, and usually it's something that reflects the pinnacle, the tippy top, the absolute height of the hierarchies that you're in. It is usually something that will give you an overwhelming sense of an institution. You will only see pipe organs nowadays in churches, cathedrals, concert halls, symphony halls, these insanely massive things. So whenever, organ aura farms hard, yes, absolutely, and that's exactly what happens. Because not only does it have that massive sound every time, but you associate that with, oh yeah, organ. I think of like Notre Dame or Symphony Hall or something like that. I'm not thinking of being in my living room with my friends just jamming out. I am thinking of the Catholic Church as a whole, the entirety of the academic institutions that make the conservatories and the different symphony orchestras. You have that concept of higher than life, higher than yourself, bigger than anything you could possibly imagine. So that is something that you will relate to psychologically when you do this. Max, welcome to today. How you doing? So it's like looking at a giant statue. So when it comes to orchestration, you want that. You want that, the right psychological response for each individual instrument. Does it have to be that much thought put into it every single time? No. But it's really cool when it is. And right now, the different synths that we've heard here all elicit these, like some of these we've even come to relate to, crystals. The speeding up of battle. The mystique, the mysticism of the mystery of this Pokemon, that kind of thing. So let's see where it goes. So yeah, now we have this synth playing that. Brass once again playing, I think it's an inversion of the motif as well. Which again, an inversion of the motif just means you're playing the same melody but upside down. I think it is, but we'll see. Organ Arthur in part 3 by the Festus. But yeah, but that's because you're you. It's a really cool one, though. Mm-hmm. We had a little piano there. We bring back the guitar. Really cool. interesting. We brought in the brass and we actually pumped them this time. We actually let the brass play really loud, but they turned down the volume as if to make this whole thing feel kind of out of reach. Very interesting. A very, very interesting thing to do. Because usually, as I've said before, brass is a very, very risky section to use in an orchestra. Because that's where your trombones, your trumpets, your tubas are going to be at. And those are insanely loud instruments. Like, we're talking one trombone can completely overpower an entire orchestra easily. And now these guys, we're blasting them. Not only, we're panning them to one side. Once again, the concept of panning is a very nice utilization of the fact that we use stereo nowadays. When you have stereo, of course, we have the left ear, we have the right ear, you have yourself over here, all, you know, bald, disfigured, and therefore bald and evil. And the concept of panning is turning up or turning down one ear or one speaker for the purposes of giving you that sense of there's one side playing. Right now, we have the brass playing on the right ear only, but it's also not very loud. So instead of feeling like the sound is coming from here, it feels like the sound is kind of coming from here. So usually you would feel the way it works with stereo, right? If you have 100% on both left and right ear, it just feels like you're hearing something that comes straight forward. If you lower the volume 100% on the left ear and you leave it on the right ear, it's going to sound like it comes straight from the right ear. But if you lower that one a little bit as well, it's going to feel like it comes really, really from the far back. So it's a very cool way of giving you the illusion of surround sound with just using stereo. It's a really, really cool thing. And of course, surround sound means that there's more than two speakers. Usually it's like 5.1, 7.1. Which means 5 plus, I think, the subwoofer, or 7 plus the subwoofer, and all of them placed in a way so that you can feel the surround sound. Pretty simple explanation there. But yes. There you go, yep. So yeah, we're having this. We slowed down the pace. We have the bass doing a variation of the motif. Yeah, and again, with the reduced, sped up version of the motif. Very useful tool for transitioning here. Bring the scales up. Whoa. Okay, for a second I thought it used something other than the guitar. Yeah, this sounds like a repetition. This sounds like recapitulation. Recapitulation is when you bring back something you already did. And we did this near the start. This exact part we did near the start. It's very good for adding more time to the piece. And I always look at it kind of like how you see those movies with the twists when they then explain everything, or they replay the scenes that you might have where all the details were, you know, like Fight Club or Lucky Number 11, those kinds of movies where the whole time you think you're seeing one thing, but the movie is giving you all the hints until the twist comes in and it turns out it was there all along, kind of thing. But now you have the context of everything that has happened while you listen to this thing again. That's kind of where recapitulation can be. And right now it's giving me that feeling. Again, with the syncopated acceleration. Yeah, pretty straightforward recapitulation. Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Still cool as hell, though, So yeah, instead of having the audio engine repeat it and use processing time with that, just repeat it in the track itself. And that's it. Yeah, pretty much 1-for-1 repeat. Maybe a couple of added details here and there, like a couple added variations, but I don't think so. Oh no, this time this was in the right ear now. Yeah, it's on the right ear this time around. So yeah, it seems there are some smaller variations here and there. There you go with the violins. Playing those. Elongated version of the motif on the piano. We bring in the guitar, doing another variation of the motif. Nice. And I think some part of the guitar, the reason why it sounds so interesting is the concept of octave displacement. This is a very, very tricky one to use, but it sounds awesome when you push it up, when you pull it off. So, when it comes to music, you use scales. And usually your scales are going to be made out of 7 notes out of the 12 chromatic notes that exist. So, let's visualize these in numbers, right? So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I could imagine, I can write one. And then you go back to 1, which is called the octave. And then from there you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then you have the second octave, but you can just keep going and going and going. So the concept of octave displacement is, let's say we have a very simple melody, right? Like we go from 1 to 2 to 3. The concept of octave displacement would be, okay, so what, instead of playing this 2 over here, we have from 1 to this 2 back to this 3. That is octave displacement right there. It is fairly tricky to play, very common in things like Gent. A band that pulls this off brilliantly is Polyphia. Most of their tracks are just octave displacement. They take a very, very simple melody. For example, their track Goat. It's a very, very simple melody. Extremely simple melody that they just engaged in extreme octave displacement. And that's it. And it sounds awesome. It's such a simple concept, and it sounds awesome. So we are having that a little bit with the guitar here and there, and we're having call and response as well with octave displacement. So one instrument starts, then another continues, but a couple of octaves higher, and and it gives you this whole sense of back and forth, because that's also octave displacement, one of the consequences of it, because now not only do you have several octaves engaging in this, it feels like everybody's contributing, right, in that kind of sense. It's a really, really cool thing to do. But if it's simple, they make it very clean. Yeah, they do. Yep, we slow down. How are you gonna end this? Reduced version of the motif. We bring the drums back, similar to how we did in the intro. Reduced motif again, yeah. How are you gonna end this? Oh, with this transition, okay. Okay, you got 5 seconds left. How are you gonna finish this? Oh, you faded it out! You cheap bastards! Okay, so yeah, they just faded it out, and it repeats eventually, and it just keeps repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating. Fade out jump scare. Yeah, fade out jump scare. I was not expecting that from Nintendo. Finish your fucking music, dude. Finish your fucking music. So, this was acceptable back in the NES days when we had like 200 kilobytes of data. Like, no, not even kilobytes. We had like 3 kilobytes for the entire music, right? You have an orchestra. You are Nintendo. You have unlimited budget. You can finish a track. So yeah, it finished with that transition so that it can loop back and forth. It just fading out just takes away from this. I can't really blame the composers for this kind of thing, because the guy probably had like 20 other tracks to work on. Still, there are so many solutions for this that it just blows my mind that they choose the fade out. So, yeah, it leaves you blue balled. So it's just such it upsets me because of that. Because me as a composer, I want to give you the entire journey in each track. I just want to do that. If I give you a fade out, I'm not doing that. I'm simply not doing that. So, yeah, like if you listen to any of the tracks I have, whether it is from my old SoundCloud all the way to here, like one of my tracks, the only one that would have a fade out is the work in progress that I never finished, right? But everything else, I give it an ending, one way or another. And in this case, you could have done something really, really simple. You have the bum 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 ba da dum bum 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 ba ba bum. That's it. That's it. 3 hits. And that's it. You can end it like that. So I'm pretty sure it doesn't fade out in game since it's loops game. Yeah, in the game it just loops. In the game it just loops infinitely. But still, giving something the ending. Just do it. Just do it, dude. Just do it. But do you love being... I don't. So yeah, no, other than that, this is a really, really cool track. Really, really fast-paced and everything. There you have it. That was the Giratina battle music from the Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Really, it was still really good. Like, despite the fade out, it was still really, really good track. Once again, everybody, this has been a Basterd's LFA, a layman-friendly analysis. I hope that I have explained things to you in a way so that you don't have to be a professionally trained musician to understand what has happened here musically. If you're watching this on the video archive, thank you for watching. Make sure you like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, turn on notifications, all that good stuff. If you want to request a song and you're not on the live stream, go to the Discord. It's linked down in the description. Go to the LFA requests channel and just drop the YouTube link of the video, the song that you want me to do there. Video game music only. Geometry Dash counts and similar. Just no copyrighted music. I will review it anyway, so don't worry about that. And if you want to watch the streams live, link to the Discord has a stream schedule channel, and the Twitch channel has a schedule tab on it that shows the streams on your local time zone, so that you don't need to calculate those in your own time. If you want to listen to this track uninterrupted without me interrupting every 5 seconds, I will be linking it down below. And with that, yeah, thank you for watching. Really good stuff. There you go. Giratina battle music. Good stuff. Good stuff. But yeah, let's move on.